Welcome back into Eyewitness News. Many will spend this Memorial Day weekend at the box office. This morning, I'm joined by Sean Chandler of Sean Chandler Talks About on YouTube. Joining us to talk about some of those films. And Sean, once and again, thank you for coming back on Eyewitness News Mornings. You are
absolutely
a big movie reviewer. You've seen these upcoming films. I want to focus on Garfield here because it's the big family movie coming out this weekend. What's your take on Chris Pratt's version of Garfield?
Well, so I grew up with Garfield and Friends back in the day, the animated show. So having Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy playing Garfield threw me off. As for his voice, love Chris Pratt. I don't know if he's Garfield to me. As for the movie in general, it's harmless entertainment. I took all three of my kids. All three of them had a lot of fun with it. In a lot of ways, that's the most important thing I can say about the film. But as for me, it felt way too familiar. And all the unique Garfieldisms kind of got lost in everything else kind of going on in the plot. Well, you think Garfield started as a comic strip.
Right.
And where you do these.
Let me ask you this, though, Sean. You know, so Garfield, to a new generation, do they need to know that he's a cat that's lazy that eats lasagna? Or do you just come into this expecting something completely different?
You go into this one and you have a little bit of cat that likes lasagna, so especially at the beginning. You get some of that classic Garfield imagery. But it started as a comic strip. There was 4 panels, a punchline. He's lazy. He eats lasagna. And the movie you're watching here is about a heist. There's a train rescue sequence that's inspired by Mission Impossible. We're dealing with Garfield's daddy and abandonment issues. And so it just feels like all these other movies. It's fine. If you take your family this weekend, you'll have a good time. You're not going to be offended or anything like that. But if you're someone that wants some unique Garfield stuff, all the lasagna, the laziness, you forget about it because you're in the middle of a heist trying to steal a truck filled with milk or something like that.
Chris Pratt. So he's the voice of the Lego guy. We've got him as Super Mario. Now he's doing Garfield. Does this end his push for other voice animated characters, or is this going to push him to do the next one like Mickey Mouse?
We'll see what happens at the box office, but you think last year he did Super Mario. That's not an obvious fit. Chris Pratt, Italian plumber, and it made over $1 billion. So if Garfield's a hit, which I'm sure it'll do fine at the box office, it'll do solid numbers, why would he stop? And why would they stop casting him? I personally wouldn't keep casting Chris Pratt for every voice character out there. I don't need all the characters from my childhood being voiced in new animated versions by Chris Pratt. I'd rather see him do other things. But if you're making money, why would you stop? It's the movie business. So if it makes money, you keep doing it.
Sure. For some reason, I have Chris Pratt voicing Lino for Thundercats cartoon. I'm just going to push it and make it happen. Hey, Sean, so we're going to bring you back over on our Fox 58. We're going to talk about Furiosa, and maybe that could beat Garfield this weekend. You ready to come back for that?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. We'll see you then. Thanks for showing up. And by the way, find Sean Chandler on YouTube. Sean Chandler Talks About. Memorial Day weekend is upon us, which means a lot of people will be headed to the movie theaters. That's why we got our guy who watches all these movies for us so we can decide whether or not we should go. That's Mr. Sean Chandler from Sean Chandler Talks About on YouTube. Sean, good morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here to talk about a lot of movies today.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies. So it's funny. So Garfield comes out, and it's got Chris Pratt and Samuel L. Jackson. You have Avengers. Now we've got the movie Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. It's got Chris Hemsworth and Alan Taylor-Joy, who's Thor and the upcoming Silver Surfer. It's just the Avengers all around us. How is this movie Furiosa? You've seen it. What's your thoughts?
Oh, I really liked this movie. So I've been watching the Mad Max movies ever since the early 90s when they were on cable TV, watch them after my parents went to bed. And George Miller, who directed this film, is now like 80 years old, and he's still directing these crazy car carnage movies. And he keeps making each of them different. The last one he did, Mad Max Fury Road, was basically a 2-hour chase movie. It was designed to be that. And this is designed to be more of a sprawling epic where it covers like over 10 years of the Furiosa character's life. And with that, Anya Taylor-Joy doesn't show up in the movie until about an hour into the film because it's like building out this entire world of the wasteland, all these different factions, and there's rescue things happening. So there's so much that kind of goes on in this film, but it's aesthetically very similar to Fury Road. You do have the crazy car chases, but it also has something new to deliver at the same time in the type of story that it tells.
Let me ask you this then. So the first four, you have Mel Gibson, and then you get Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Now, this one is all about Anya Taylor-Joy's character.
Yes.
Is this a girl boss movie? Because I've seen this online. People are worried about that.
Well, I mean, when I think of girl boss, I think about the movies where they feel like they have to knock the guy down to prop the girl up. And that's not really what this movie does. There's a character in it that she partners up with that outsmarts her, that outdoes her, and then trains her. Like there's a character in it that is designed to be that partner for her. So it doesn't do anything to like knock dudes down to prop women up. So it's not that kind of brand of girl boss. Now, is Furiosa an awesome character that beats dudes up, shoots guns, hangs on the bottom of trucks? Yeah, but that's just called a cool character.
That's a cool character.
I mean, yeah, a guy can't do that. You throw me on the bottom of a truck, I'm going to get run over. So that's just a fun escapist movie character. But it doesn't do it in that way where it feels like the movie has this weird preachy agenda or anything like that. It's having car carnage. There's cool dude characters. I mean, Chris Hemsworth is this wild, flamboyant villain that's just chewing up every scene that he's in. And so I had a really good time with it. It is long. It's a longer film.
Oh, it's a longer film.
It's not quite as urgent of pacing as like Fury Road.
Which one do you like better, Fury Road or Furiosa, or can they be on par?
I mean, I think they complement each other really well, but I mean, Fury Road is just so insanely chaotic and so there's so much energy to it that there's something about that I think is special. Whereas the second time you do something kind of like that, it doesn't have that freshness and newness.
All right, Sean.
But I think it doesn't try to outcompete with that film. It tries to do its own thing through telling this bigger story.
Sean, I'm going to take your critique, and I'm going to go see this movie this weekend. I love it. Everybody, you can listen to Sean Chandler Talks About on YouTube. Of course, we'll have this up on our website at BakersfieldNow.com. Sean, thanks so much for coming in, and have a great Memorial Weekend.
You too. Thanks for having me.